Welcome to the facility where heavy-duty vehicles and trucks get tortured, punished, even destroyed. A team of Ford engineers and professional drivers have gathered to document a 24-hour torture test to prove that the Ford Ranger is built to take on your world. This is Ranger, the 24-hour challenge. The clock starts now. We tackle some of the harshest conditions in the world: hard, soft, or deep sand. If the Ranger makes it through this, it'll make it through anything. So far, the indestructible pickup has performed brilliantly. It's an awesome display of tough done smart. The upgraded suspension provides car-like comfort on the open road. And the dual-zone climate control helps you keep your cool, no matter how hot it is out there. The Ranger's off-road capability is up next. We'll test its brilliance on this axle twister 4x4 course. Extreme? Yes. Impossible? Never. Here's a pickup that is capable of conquering high ground. After a grueling 3-hour session, it's time to see if this pickup has what it takes to carry the load. The Ford Ranger is built to work hard, so we put load after load on its back. Bricks, concrete, cement, you name it. Load after load, the pickup flexes its muscle, so then we made the challenge even harder. Throughout the day, it moved 30 tons of building materials. No sweat. Back to the oval, where the Ranger is up to speed in a flash. The Ranger shows no sign of fatigue, wear, or tear. It's living up to its name in every possible way. We use the reverse camera to help connect a trailer. It's Ranger versus 3,500 kilograms of heavy-duty construction equipment. Towing this load will test the chassis strength and the integrity of the Ranger's build quality. The Ford Ranger has pulled more than its weight in this 24-hour test. The 5-cylinder, 147-kilowatt motor and the 6-speed automatic gearbox pull together, and the Ranger conquers the challenge. It's been an endurance test of epic proportions, but for the indestructible Ford Ranger, it's just another day's work. Proof, indeed, that the new 2016 Ford Ranger is built to take on your world.
The engineers at Ford took the Ranger through a series of 4 extreme tests, pushing it to its limits and proving it's tough done smarter. This is the science of truck. Heat, humidity, tough terrain and heavy load. These are the elements that stress an engine the most. But the Ranger is built to overcome all of them. To prove it, the Ford engineers will put the Ranger through 24 hours of extreme conditions.
Let's get it going.
To survive these cruel 24 hours, the Ranger will need all its unique engineering to manage the stress. Its torque, smart heat management, and 4x4 capability will all be pushed to get through this grueling track.
Here in Thailand, right on the Burmese border, we are on site to test the durability and endurance of the Ford Ranger. The course we're going to put the Ranger through is running up through the jungle. Within the course, we've got a very harsh 20% unsealed grade. There's going to be potholes, there's going to be ruts, there's going to be a lot of load going through the chassis. Heat from the engine, the transmission, the transfer case, the differential. All of these things are going to be working hard. We'll be pumping 40 degrees C this afternoon, with probably 70 to 90% humidity.
Strategic pit stops occur to change drivers and stiffen up the challenge. The load was added right when the temperature and humidity were reaching their peak for the day. That's when the Ranger's uniquely built cooling system helps to overcome the harsh environment.
We've been monitoring the top tank temperature, which is the coolant that cools the engine down. We've now raised the centre of gravity. We're actually going to get a big swinging motion as we take the bends throughout this winding course as we go through the jungle.
With its payload and steep inclines, the RPM increases. And just when lesser trucks could start to overheat, the aerodynamics of the front grille ensure enough airflow through the cooling pack, keeping the engine bay cool.
We've just gone 536 kilometres. Now we're just about to do our first run with a trailer. 1.5 tonne has just been put onto the back of this Ranger.
Now that the sun has set, the temperature drops, but the engineers don't want the nighttime conditions to be easier. Time to add more weight to the truck and take the engine stress higher. From now on, the Ranger's engine will carry a combined mass of 6 tonne through the jungle until the end of the test.
40 minutes away from running this truck for 24 hours. Feedback we're getting from the drivers has been outstanding.
I like the fact that even when you're going up the hill, it's just smooth all the way up. It's just a steady climb.
The Ranger proves that it's tough enough to reach its maximum combined mass of 6 tonne. It's also smartly built to do it without overstressing the engine.
Just under 940 kilometres. You can hear the Ranger there, still running, so it just shows that this truck is very, very capable. It's very, very durable. It's just tough done smarter.
The engineers at Ford took the Ranger through a series of 4 real-world tests, pushing it to its limits of torque, water, heat, and strength, proving it is tough done smarter. This is the science of tough. In this working limestone rock quarry, heavy-duty machines carve, chop, blast, and haul tons of rock non-stop every day. The Ranger is built to perform in a wide variety of challenging environments. That's why the engineers at Ford came here to prove how the Ranger's tow bar design and torque give it class-leading pulling power by dragging a quarry hauler's worth of rocks uphill in one working day.
Today, the plan is to use the sled that we've got there on the back of the Ranger. We're going to fill it out with 1 tonne of the rock from this quarry, and then we're going to drag it up an 8% grade.
The intense force between the sled and the Ranger will be measured by an industrial-grade load cell installed on the hitch. To escalate the challenge, we're dropping the rocks into a sled instead of a trailer.
There's a lot of friction, it takes a big breakaway force to get it going.
The Ranger has no choice but to punch it in 4 low with all the traction and torque it's got. The load force skyrockets to over 1,400 kilos. The friction of the metal sled dragging through the dirt is equivalent to towing over 3 times its own weight. The steep incline triples the torque demand for the haul. 12 bolts reinforce the tow bar, a unique design that distributes the energy throughout the chassis.
Very impressive.
The Ranger dumps the rocks at the top of the quarry and races back down to get another full load. Then, the conditions of the test change. The ground softens, taking away the traction the Ranger just had. A less capable truck would not get the job done. The Ranger keeps on hauling without missing a step.
Once it sees that it's getting wheel slip, it will turn on the traction control and it will start to put brakes across the wheels to make sure it gets permanent torque through to the area where it needs it. Ice, snow, sand, mud, slurry, everything.
Its brutal torque power moves tons of rock. It never slows down, never takes a break. We like to call it tough, done smarter. The Ranger was designed in the lab to tackle the extremes of whatever you throw at it. At the end of the day, the engineers report that the Ranger's class-leading pulling power hauled twice as much rock as they anticipated. You think maybe the quarry's hiring?
The engineers at Ford took the Ranger through a series of 4 extreme tests, pushing it to its limits and proving it's tough done smarter. This is the science of truck. The Ranger is built to take on harsh conditions. To prove it, the Ford engineers are here at this test facility to show how the Ranger's smart design delivers outstanding wading capabilities.
Today we're going to take the Ranger through 200 millimetres of water at high speed. Then we're going to take the water level up to 800. 200 doesn't sound like a lot of water, but at that speed it's going to be like a hydraulic hammer.
Hitting unseen water at 25 kilometres per hour can damage a vehicle that's not built for water wading. That's why the front end of the Ranger was designed to disperse the force of the water, keeping the wheels on the ground and the driver in control.
Above this guard is where we've actually got the air intake. This is what makes this car breathe. The alternator was brought up. We've moved electrical components high up in the engine bay again. It's been designed to be tough.
The Ranger's smart aerodynamics works like a ship's hull, forming a bow wave that spreads the water away from the air intake as the truck cruises.
With a Ranger, we only call it a pass if we can do it at max payload.
The engineers could be calling it a day, but they're not quite satisfied.
So I'd like to back it in and let it idle in the water for an hour, because that's something that we've never done before.
Once again, the Ranger slips into the 800 millimetre depth, but this time for more than just a crossing.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. We've got all sealed connectors that are watertight. We don't want water getting in there, otherwise there'll be pistons everywhere. The fog lamps would have been sitting down at the bottom there. High intensity, still working.
The Ranger's elevated air intake keeps the engine idling normally.
That's 2 hours. 2 hours. Yeah, it's amazing.
Our engineers think ahead. So when it comes to the extreme conditions, the Ranger performs. That's what we like to call tough, done smarter. The engineers at Ford took the Ranger through a series of 4 extreme tests, pushing it to its limits and proving it's tough, done smarter. This is the science of truck. A combination of heavy construction materials were selected for a test of load box durability and suspension strength. These will be dropped from a height of over 2.5 metres and hit the Ranger with over 1,500 kilograms of impact. That's like a cannonball hitting the load box at a speed of 82 kilometres an hour.
This is not something that we do every day. This is quite extreme.
The Ranger absorbs it, distributing the force through the chassis, down the suspension and into the tyres.
For the Ranger, what's unique about them is that the cross members runs up to 5 meters.
3 U-shaped cross members give the load box its exceptional strength. These are then connected to the frame using Ford's unique smart mounts that disperse the force evenly through the vehicle. And straight away, we hit again.
We still got more to go.
this final drop could seriously damage a lesser truck.
That's abuse.
To absorb the blow, the Ranger's bed and suspension work together as one piece. And after that, we add even more load to reach its maximum capacity. After taking all this punishment, the Ranger drives away fully loaded. Mud and ruts are no problem, proving it